Hello and welcome back to DR Sports for another transfer update. Myself, AGT, and the main man, James B, in the house. We'll go for a handshake on this one.
I went for
it was a bit awkward.
my bad.
But we move. How are you, fella?
Yeah, very good. This is my DR transfer debut. I'm quite excited for it, actually. Yeah.
Great to have you on, man.
I know. It's nice to chat things outside of Arsenal. So, yeah,
Whilst wearing an Arsenal shirt.
Yeah.
It is a beautiful training shirt.
Thank you very much. It's quite summery as well.
Arsenal rarely miss. It is. It's a good one, man. We've had to drag you away from watching the tennis.
Yes, okay.
Which we will be featuring a lot on DR Sports, won't we? But let's talk about transfers before we get into the video, making sure already that you're liking it to help us in that algorithm battle. Comment with your thoughts about what we're going to be talking about and subscribe to DR Sports if you haven't. James B as well. Subscribe to him, new YouTube channel.
Yeah, well, just talking more football, TV, all that. So, yeah, appreciate that.
Love to see it, man. Big up. Right, James.
Yes.
You must be happy as an Arsenal fan. There's no better place to start, really, with the Gunners.
Yeah.
It looks like, and we've seen pictures of him arriving at London Colney this morning, Gabriel Jesus looks to be an Arsenal player, James. Sum up your feelings right now.
Yeah, I credit the journos and photographers that got out there and managed to get those pictures. But I'm really excited about this one. I think I've seen people going a little too far with it, and I've seen people also underplaying this signing. I think there's somewhere in the middle. He's a very good player. Some people saying, yeah, but he doesn't start for City. So while we're getting starting for City, you've got to be an unbelievable player. And he's had big game time. Started the games against Liverpool. The goal he got against you guys, the assist he got for Phil Foden at Anfield. Starting semi-finals against Real Madrid. He's an important player that was really called upon by Pep Guardiola. So he was trusted in his time there, and now he's ready to come and, I think, play those 38 games a season, wear the number 9 shirt for Arsenal and be that main man. Now, I understand he's not got more than 14 league goals in a season, but you can see his quality, and it's about what he contributes across the pitch, not just the goals. So I'm ecstatic about this one. I think he's a top player, and to have brought him in without Champions League football, I know we're still Arsenal, so we know we've got a lot of pull and all that, but to have brought him in, I think Arsenal are flexing a little bit, and it's good to see.
Yeah, obviously the Brazilian connection with Edu.
Yeah.
45 million. Is an Arsenal player until June 2027 at least. He can play as a right winger as well. And the fact that you mentioned the lack of goals, maybe, I'm actually going to stick up for him here. I think in 106 starts for Man City, he's got 56 goals.
Yeah.
So the numbers are there. He was always a threat against Liverpool, whatever position he played in. I remember he scored against us in the Champions League semi-final second leg as a number 9, set up, as you said, Foden from that right position last year. So he offers a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of output, what are you expecting? Because you mentioned there the goals. Can he breach that 15 to 20 mark, which is kind of why you signed him, because you need someone to do that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think rather than just look at goals, and it's not to necessarily make the task easier. I mean, some people are saying, can he reach 20 league goals, for example? I think he can if Arsenal get the right infrastructure around him. If we get Yuri Tielemans, naturally a kind of creative central midfielder, if you get a Raphinha, then actually you start to look at this Arsenal team and think they've not just, improved what they do in front of goal, but actually everything, building up to it as well. I think if we bring all those players in, which is a big if, by the way,
Massive if.
Then, I think he maybe could hit 20 league goals. I'd like to see him get 25 goal contributions in the league next season. If he can get...
That would be a great season.
If he can get 15 goals and 10 assists, or I know that's a lot, but I think... Okay, that is a big target.
Let me just say, interrupt you here, only 2 players in Premier League history have gone on to have a season where they've scored over 20 league goals and had 10 assists.
Okay.
Do you know who they are?
Thierry Henry?
Correct.
Ooh, I'm not Harry Kane?
Mo Salah. And they've both done it twice, James.
Right, there we go.
So that's the levels.
Yeah, hearing myself say it out loud now, maybe that is a big if. Okay, 20 plus goal contributions in the league, I think, is what Arsenal should be expecting from Gabriel Jesus. And we have spent money on him. And he is coming in, not the finished article, but 25, good age, experience.
Perfect age.
Yeah, I think. And because you're right, he might play across the front 3. We know Arteta rates Nketiah. I know there's debate amongst the Arsenal fan base about that particular deal and everything, but he'll get game time. So, yeah, I think 20 plus goal contributions in the league is the target.
I think this is a great signing for Arsenal. Yeah. I really do. As an outsider looking in, it's been flirted with, the idea so much of having Jesus at Arsenal. hopefully for Arsenal's sake, he gets the ammo around him. There's no De Bruyne anymore. There's no Gundogan clipping balls in. So hopefully, creatively, Arsenal can supply him. Sticking with Arsenal, I mean, again, very ambitious here. £35 million offer has been made for Ajax defender Lisandro Martinez.
Yeah.
And they appear to be leading United in the race for the 24-year-old Argentina international. I mean, talk to me about Martinez for those that maybe haven't heard of this guy before.
Okay, yeah, interesting one. I didn't really know too much about him other than his kind of player profile. I knew he was a 5'9", 5'10" centre back, Argentinian,
which is small. If we're being Jamie Carragher's 5'10",
yeah.
He dealt with it, but you're going to get question marks when you're a centre back at that height.
You are, and he played for Ajax, who every game would have had a lot of the ball. He probably has the same when he's playing for Argentina.
Yeah.
But he was predominantly a centre back last season for Ajax. That's the crucial thing. So everyone's thinking 35 million when you got Gabriel, who was one of our players of the season, and William Saliba's coming back, and you got Ben White. So for me, he's very clearly coming in, and I might be wrong, but I think it's very clear he's coming in to add depth to Kieran Tierney's position at left back. And the way Arsenal set up with their fullbacks, very similar to Man City, inverted, very central, all about what they do in terms of progressing the ball, forming a shield in front of the centre-backs. I think he's coming in to basically, in the same way Arteta took Partey, box-to-box midfielder, and moulded him into the position he wanted him to play, I think Lisandro Martinez, yes, typically a centre-back, will be playing more as a left-back. But yeah, Arsenal being ambitious again, and you go in, this is our second bid now, suggests that we've had some hope, we've had some encouragement, and I have been reading somewhere that Ajax are considering this. They wanted more, but I think they're taking some time on this bid, so we'll see, but yeah, Arsenal knocking on the door. But you've got to feel if United come in, Eric Ten Hag and all that, you've got to feel that's probably his more likely destination. But nice to see Arsenal being proactive with this one as well.
Yeah, you can't really knock the ambitious nature of how Arsenal at board level have chased down their targets this season, which I think you have to commend them for. Even if you don't get Alessandro Martinez, you will end up with maybe one or two more. So it could be a 10 out of 10 transfer window for Arsenal. It could be. We've said big ifs.
Yeah, if we got those players and we mentioned, I mean, I struggle to think of any more that we could have realistically done. Even this feels beyond what I expected. And sometimes it slips my mind that we've got Fabio Vieira in already. Yeah. So that's all very encouraging.
And Marquinhos.
Yeah, and Marquinhos, we'll see.
Someone said that on Twitter last night too.
Someone did have to remind me. It's not that I'd forgotten. I just, a bit like Martinelli, I guess maybe it's a little ignorant of me to think that he's probably just going to go out on loan after a pre-season, but we will see. Obviously, we are looking to add more to the squad, so where he fits in is difficult to see in the immediate future, but we'll see.
Arsenal fans, in the comments, let us know how you're feeling so far about the transfer window activity made. Let's stay in North London, Tottenham. And now this is something that Robbie and I spoke about last week. I wasn't too... What's the word? I was surprised at the links, if I'm honest, but they're still there. Tottenham want to sign Brazilian forward Richarlison and Anthony Gordon from Everton in a double deal. They're also, Chelsea, are also interested in Richarlison, which we spoke about last week. But this Tottenham link that's coming this week, I find it strange that, one, you want Richarlison to basically be a backup to Harry Kane. Let's not forget how the season ended for Spurs with Son, Kane and Kulusevski all firing on all cylinders.
Yeah.
Plus Anthony Gordon. I don't think Everton would agree to this in the slightest because, trust me, living up in Liverpool, I know how much they think of Anthony Gordon and Richarlison. I just can't see this happening.
Well, I think I want to split the two players and the two deals. Richarlison, I think it could be a great bit of business for Spurs because, well, we'll say, I still have a couple doubts about Richarlison, but very complete player. Can play across the front three, good in the air, very strong, real handful, quick, skillful, decent finisher. I mean, I think he's one of those players that you think, if he kind of hones his craft and just gets it right, I think could be a real problem for teams. But he's just kind of at that level where he's probably okay to be second fiddle to Kane, play across the front three in different areas. So that one makes sense. It could cost him a lot of money, but that's just the market these days. With Anthony Gordon, don't call me a hater because I'm an Arsenal fan, I'm going to be a little bit more sceptical about that move, and actually more from Gordon's perspective. We've seen players like Ryan Sessegnon move to Spurs, Jack Clark, I think his name, went from Leeds, obviously then went back on loan and not really sure what's happening there now. We've seen a few young players go to Spurs, and it feels like at the time it always feels like a good next step.
Brian Gill is another example,
right?
As a winger.
Really good example. And if I'm Anthony Gordon, who's just had, he's probably on a high
breakout season.
I know Everton weren't where they wanted to be, but they got through. And they can build under Frank Lampard, a coach who notoriously wants to play attacking football. I think Gordon will do well just to stick at Everton for another year or two. If Spurs get him, they're getting a very good young talent. But the Richarlison one makes sense. I'm not sure the Gordon one, for his sake, makes sense. But he is a very good player. If they get him, he'll get game time.
Yeah, I mean, if I was Gordon, and again, as a Scouser, him up there, he's the main guy. He's kind of almost in a very different stratosphere there, Trent, in a way. So I think at 21, there's no rush, there's no need for you to leave. You could probably count his Premier League games. They're probably less than 50. If I was him, I say no to this deal. I'm not interested in being part of some double deal.
Sure.
And if I do kind of go, then maybe it would be on my terms. If I was Gordon, at 21, I still think 3 or 4 more years at Everton to really cement yourself. And then, who knows, you might even get picked up by someone, with all due respect to Tottenham, a little bit bigger. But that depends on his ambition. Does he want to be that club legend, that one club man? And I think Scousers, as soon as you leave as a Scouser, your Scouse club, you almost get seen as a bit of a mercenary.
Yeah, I mean, I think he'll want to. Off the back of a high for Everton managing to stay up and the fashion in which they did it. I think just stay, play your football, learn under a former great player in Frank Lampard. I think it'll just make sense for him. Then you're right, being a part of a double deal. What will they charge Everton? I mean,
they need money, if we're honest. Everton are desperate for the cash. But, I mean, to lose Richarlison, Gordon, it might look like Calvert-Lewin is going to leave as well.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to... They can't, and they have to replace them if they do leave. So it'd be interesting to see where Everton end up at the end of the transfer window. Back on Spurs, they're firm favourites to land Barcelona and France defender Clement Lenglet, despite interest from Roma. Now, from what I know of Lenglet, he's been a decent defender in a struggling team, playing a lot in... I mean, he's been around for maybe 3 or 4 years now. Hasn't really cemented down that centre-back place that Piqué has done in the past, or Puyol. He's kind of on the fringes, and it looks like Spurs, again, Conte having a look over in Spain, seeing what's available. But it looks like Spurs are gonna get him.
Well, they need to add some depth at the back. Left-footed player, slots into a back three.
Which is what we know Conte is all about.
And also, I sort of, I never turn my nose up at any player Conte wants, because I've seen him so often. Rarely misses and turns an Ashley Young into a title winner, or turns a
Victor
Moses into one of the best right wing backs in the world. And Lenglet will come with his fair share of criticism as a signing, kind of. Rival fans will poke fun at it, but I've not watched enough of him to know, this guy's going to be a flop or whatever. And also, remember, if you play for Barcelona, there's a reason. You've clearly got some talent. And a left-footed centre-back who can slot into a back three.
Sometimes hard to come by, actually.
Hard to come by. Sometimes that little bit of extra protection just gets something out of you. So maybe he'll slot in perfectly. And I think, what are they discussing? Like a loan move potentially, or loan with option? Yeah, I'm not sure it's specified. I would think a loan move maybe is worth a risk. I mean, it's not going to be a great financial outlay, is it? No,
exactly. I think if you're Spurs, you give them a go.
Yeah.
But then if you're Spurs as well, or if you're Ryan Sessegnon, I don't think all hope is gone, because the longer you stick around, and for Spurs fans, they trust me, they want Conte to stick around as long as possible. I think the game transitioned so much under Conte that someone like a Sessegnon, who's been on the fringes, could play a massively crucial part in that kind of left wing back. Might not be the position he wants to play, but Conte doesn't really care about that. He wants you to play for the team. So again, a lot of ins and outs at Spurs, definitely, until the end of the window.
They'll be busy. They'll be super busy. And I feel like they're playing off each other. Arsenal make a signing. Suddenly Spurs are more interested in something. Spurs signed Basuma. Arsenal suddenly want. Chelsea then get in the mix. Man United as well. you're all watching what other teams are doing and you're reacting to it.
Yeah, one team that have spent a lot of money so far, but also recouped a lot of money so far, or will recoup a lot of money by the end of the window, is Man City. Calvin Phillips, now 45 to 50 million deal has been agreed for the England international. Again, I was on here last week with Robbie and I said, for me, he's not even the best player at Leeds. I think that's Raphinha, who it looks like might be going to Arsenal. I said he was injured quite a lot. He's a bit slow in possession for me again. And I haven't seen enough of him week in, week out to believe that this move is one, a great move for Man City, and two, the best move for him personally. How do you see this one?
Well, it's interesting because Guardiola had two central midfield, let's say, refreshers needed in Gundogan's position. I know he came on and scored, but there was talk of him potentially going. Well, has he even confirmed he is leaving? I'm not sure. And then you've got Fernandinho going as the backup to Rodri. Now that's what Phillips feels to me. He feels more the Rodri backup. But you're right. Can he get to that City level? I've seen a lot of class from Phillips. And a lot of the work he does will be how he shields the back four, how he picks up the ball off the defenders and builds out the back with them. But look, a good player. Could it be a little bit like when they signed Nathan Ake and actually not really done a lot, but they spent 40 million? That's the thing. They can spend 40 million on depth and players who just need to fill in every now and again. But I think because they can. But I think there's quality, real quality in Phillips. And the injury problems have slowed him down a little bit. But I think there's a good player there. And he'll do well at City. Whether he ever becomes that trusted, starting week in, week out.
So I don't think he will. But again, he could prove me wrong.
He could prove us wrong. And Rodri's still only 23, 24, I think. So there's no rush, to be getting a starter in that area. So it'll be interesting. Or will he be a more box-to-box? But I don't think he's ever really done that. So Leeds fans will let me know.
Yeah, and I've spoken to Leeds fans who are kind of at the point now where they're kind of happy for him to move on and make that move. This transfer to me, and again, let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree. This has got Danny Drinkwater to Chelsea written all over it, for me personally.
I think Guardiola's smarter and less erratic, but I kind of know what you mean.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah. Do you remember when they signed Jack Rodwell?
Yes.
Maybe that's
after a great year at Everton.
Maybe that's.
Yeah.
But I think Phillips is a good. Well, Rodwell had potential, but
again, in terms of output, I know he's a central defensive midfielder, but I don't remember him. I mean, Fabinho scores goals, Rodri scores goals. I don't remember him, and again, shoot him down if I'm wrong. I don't remember him scoring a hatful of goals, assists. I don't think he's up there.
I'm not.
And I know that's not his job.
Tallies,
but I mean, I just haven't seen enough. Listen, maybe I've been watching the wrong player. I just haven't seen enough on a consistent basis to warrant a deal like that. But listen, good for him.
Yeah, he is a good player.
Let's move on to Inter Milan. I was talking to my neighbour last night in Liverpool, big Inter Milan fan. As soon as I mentioned the word Lukaku, he went,
"Oh, really?"
Yeah.
Okay.
Which would show you that maybe then it's not the best deal for both parties. But the Inter director, Morata, has said, I want to thank our directors, Usilio and Bacin. We have done lots of work. Now it's time to complete the negotiations, which is quite funny for me because when Lukaku left Inter last year, it wasn't on the best of terms. There was also a sly little dig thrown. It might have been Morata, I don't know, but there was someone high up on the board at Inter who kind of said, well, 100 million we've got for Lukaku. There wasn't much difference between him and Dzeko. Yeah. Which would a little bit of disrespect. But now he's back. It seems like, he's taken his medicals this week with Inter. What do you make of this deal? And is it up there with the worst bits of business you've seen in Premier League history?
I mean, I think it almost definitely is the worst bit of business ever. And it's doubled down by the fact that you spent the 100 million on him, or whatever it was. You've had him for a year. He barely delivered. You've then sent him back. You've recouped a bit of a loan fee, but he's probably going to come back and you're going to have this problem in 12 months again. There's clearly a very, very good player in Lukaku.
Numbers-wise, for his age, all career goals, he's really something special.
And I think you struggle to find... Maybe Chelsea's the only team he genuinely hasn't done it at. Even at Man United, he had patches of scoring goals and his tallies look okay, and he had moments at Chelsea, especially this 1 year stint. I mean, okay, started the season very well. Goals against Arsenal, Aston Villa kind of showed you what he was
performance
about.
at the Emirates. At
Yeah,
the start
yeah,
of the
he tore us
season.
apart. We knew we were going to get that, debut and all that. But yeah, one of the worst deals in history. Chelsea can sort of write it off and move on. Whether they're going to be able to keep doing that, but I think
It's not sustainable, is it?
It's not sustainable. I think this is very much looked at as a mistake from past ownership, past regime. We've seen a lot of changes with Petr Cech leaving and Marina Gravoskaya. I hope I've definitely butchered her name, but they're out.
Ted's not messing around, is he? He's coming in and getting rid of the old guard.
No, and you've got apparently Tuchel very involved. I think there's rumours of a sporting director maybe need to come in. That they need to put the infrastructure in place to make sure there isn't another Lukaku situation. On Inter's side, he'll score goals. The fans will love him again. That is just the nature of football, isn't it? He'll score and it'll all be fine.
Exactly. Talking about Chelsea trying to buy back a player that they used to have again, or selling a player that they used to have, Nathan Ake. Kind of stalling talks for a new contract at Manchester City. But Chelsea looking like they want him. And again, has played for Chelsea. They sent him on loan to various clubs, but one of them was Bournemouth. Did they buy him permanently in the end and then sold him to
Bournemouth.
City?
Yeah,
what do you make of that one? Again, I just feel sometimes as if these players are... I just feel like, where's the scouting, the real scouting to go out and find the gems? These are just guys that we've had recycled for the last 5 years, no? All in the same league.
Nathan Ake's story is really strange. From a loan move, I think it was to Bournemouth, to then he came back halfway through the season because Conte was playing a back three. Thought he might use him. He never played. Then got sold to Bournemouth. Maybe that was a loan, but eventually was sold to Bournemouth. Then City pick him up.
For a lot of money. It was 60
for a lot of
mil,
money when they already had Laporte, and typically teams don't really play with two left-sided centre-backs in the same team, so you kind of knew he was coming as a backup. Then they signed Diaz that same window, and he's kind of played at left-back at times, and it's just a very strange one, Nathan Ake. Clearly a good player, still at a good age, can still give 6, 7, 8 years of good Premier League service, but is Chelsea the right move? Why go back? Why just... But maybe they're the only team that can afford him. I mean, what would City demand? What do you make of it? Chelsea signing Ake, I mean, I get it, they play a back three. Maybe he fits in nicely. Again,
good defender, really good defender. I remember him scoring for Bournemouth against Liverpool. I think we were 3-0 up in that game. We lost 4-3. It was unbelievable. And I've seen, again, probably not enough on a week-to-week basis. And I know I keep saying it, but to be getting linked with these teams, I feel like almost the standard has dropped a little bit to even be linked with the Chelseas, the Cities, because we haven't seen it on a week-to-week basis. And Nathan Ake, when he came to City, he probably knew that this wasn't going to be the club where he gets that week in, week out football. You're not going to say no to City. And if he does go to Chelsea, in my opinion, for the benefit of his own career, he has to be playing every week. He has to. And you look at the chances now at Chelsea. Christensen's out the door, hasn't been able to be registered for Barca. Rudiger's out the door. Looks like Azpilicueta and Alonso are going to go, the veterans, who could, again, played all over that defence. So it makes sense, but only if he plays all the time.
He'll need some sort of reassurances, but the way Chelsea have operated, I know things are different now. What reassurances are there? So you get them from the manager. Is the manager going to be there? He wants to... We talk about the back three. I have a theory that Tuchel might go to a back four at some point. So there's all these questions, but they definitely need depth in that position. I guess Ake is semi-dependable in terms of he's a Premier League champion. He's an option that's got experience in this division.
Plays for Holland. He'll be playing World Cup football.
I think a lot of it depends on how much it's going to cost. If they're saying they can pick him up for 15 to 20 million, do you know what? Probably worth a risk. But if City are going to want to recruit most of their 30 to 40 million they paid, I don't know if Chelsea should be looking to spend that kind of money. But I don't know. How many great options are there? That's the thing, You're talking about proven quality. It comes at a price.
It does. Chelsea fans, let us know in the comments. Should Chelsea buy back Ake? It seems like they've had so many of these deals where they sell for free, they buy back at a higher price. I can't understand it. I mean, as a Liverpool fan, we've got down here that Mo Salah is expected to now leave at the end of next season as a free agent after scoring 156 goals, by the way, in 254
How do you think about all that?
I was asked this the other day. The two options are, and I was talking to Robbie about this as well, the two options are you max out and try and get as much for him this summer as you can. I don't think that was ever within the plan of Liverpool this transfer window to do that. And if we did do that, one, it would have to be an astronomical fee, which I think only PSG or Real Madrid could pay.
Yeah.
We've broken it down. I looked at it all last night. He can't go back to Chelsea. He's not going to go to City after they've bought Haaland. The other teams that could buy him is PSG, but Messi plays in his position.
Yeah.
It's Real Madrid, basically, I think, if he is going to go. So that's option one. You recoup as much as, or try and make more money than we paid for him, which was only 32 mil in 2017. Yeah. Or the second option is you let him go for free next season, which is not the ideal situation. No. There is a third option, sign a contract, which makes all these questions
Any hope that he still will?
As the time draws on and the ink isn't on the paper, it makes me think that, well, if he hasn't signed it now, it looks like he won't sign it. And if you actually break down all the clubs that are interested in him, I think the resounding argument that we will come back to is actually nowhere's as good as Liverpool for you. For what you do, for how big you could still become, stay at Liverpool. And I understand he wants the money. I understand that he deserves the money. But as time goes on, all I can see is him leaving as a free agent next year, which pains me to say, because at that time, he's still only 31. And if you look at the physicality of this player, how he's grown mentally, physically, he definitely looks after himself. So he could play at the top level, I think, for another 6 years. So I think personally, Liverpool have to do everything within their power to sign him. That's the option I'm going for and the option I'm hoping for. Liverpool fans, is it going to happen? Do you think Mo Salah will sign? Will he leave this summer? I can't see him leaving in January. That would almost be unthinkable. But next summer, he could leave on a free.
I just think, can Liverpool afford to lose Salah and Mane in one
I'll
window?
give you the answer. In the same window?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. In the same calendar year, I would say no as well. And listen, Bobby Firmino still hasn't signed a contract, and I still want him to stay.
There is one other school of thought. If you let Salah go now, even if you only get 40 million or something,
which would be a joke, really, 40 mil.
For what he's worth.
But I understand last year of the contract.
I mean, 50, 60. But if you got that kind of money and almost Liverpool came out and said, look, our rebuild's begun now. I think there's a chance, with the likes of Elliott, Carvalho, Nunez coming in, Diaz. I think there's a chance that Liverpool fans go, we're not expecting the world this season. And quadruple the run was incredible. But this would be more of that was the culmination of everything that group has done. And now the rebuild begins. I would wonder.
Happening, that new
it
era.
Is already happening. Let me ask you. 65 million comes in for Salah. Right now, you're taking
horrible.
It.
Who's it from? It's definitely
Madrid or PSG. It's
again, Madrid, leave us alone.
Barcelona.
Do you know what I mean? You've already just beaten
Barcelona are licking their wounds. They've just lost Raphinha to Arsenal. And
they've got
Salah,
the De Jong money.
They've got the De Jong money. And they're going, we're coming for Mo Salah.
It would be heartbreaking. I would say hold out for 75.
Okay.
And then we can agree something.
They come back and say 68.5.
Well, go away then. Now. I've told you what the options are.
70. We'll do shake
on
70.
No, you know what the options
shake
are.
on 70.
75 or my hand does not touch your hand.
70 and we'll chuck in...
Until it gets to 75.
We'll chuck in Lenglet on loan as well.
Not interested. I'm not going to shake your hand until you come back with the proper money because that's what he deserves. And that's what we deserve. Yeah. Right. But again,
fair enough.
Sign the contract, Mo. If you're watching, I know you're a big fan of the channel. So get involved and sign that contract. Right, staying in the Northwest, Manchester United, we just touched on it there. They look to hope, exactly, to conclude deals for Frankie de Jong and apparently Christian Eriksen, who has come out and said, well, maybe not come out and said, but it's been rumoured that he said he's not interested in that deal. And apparently they're still interested in Antony. If you're De Jong, and we go back to this Ajax team, this great Ajax team of 17-18, when they get to the semis, you've got De Ligt at the back, you've got De Jong in the middle, Van der Beek. It's looking good. You've got Ziyech as well, right? And Antony was there all along. If you're De Jong, you have that breakout season. You're the new Cruyff in a way. You get your big move to Barca, which kind of follows the career of Cruyff anyway. But then all of a sudden, maybe not all of a sudden, it's been 2 or 3 years since he's been there. Could he have done more? Should he be sold? Can they get more money for him? Should he stay? It's a vital part. It's a vital time in his career. And this next move for him, whether he goes or stays, could be absolutely massive. And then there's obviously the Ten Hag link as well.
The Ten Hag link's the big thing. The way he'll want to play the game. And De Jong knowing how he wants to and could slot in almost immediately. And look, being at Barcelona won't have really taken him away from that particular path. It'll have still been about keeping the ball on the floor.
Yeah.
You know, playing good football, playing in a midfield three, all that. I think this is a must for Man United. They're probably going to have to overpay because clubs know that United...
Well, they're holding out for around 68, aren't they?
Yeah, something like that. And I think they should pay it. And I know that there's other options, but I think Ten Hag this season, the expectations at Man United, he's going to need a degree of guarantee. If you can get a player in who's at a good age, who's got tremendous quality, who's an international, who's played under this manager, and you can go, you know what I'm about, mate. That's your role.
Do what you need to do.
You know, we've done this over years. That's your role. Mm-hmm. I think it's crucial they bring in a Frankie de Jong. I think they need more in midfield. Christian Eriksen, I think is a great option. I think they should be trying to get him in as well. Definitely worth the risk. And I say that because it's not. What he did at Brentford was fantastic. Is he going to translate that over 4 different competitions for Manchester United and in Ten Hag's system? Maybe. I think he's definitely got the quality to do it.
Again, though, Eriksen can get back into the international fold. He already has scored for Denmark since his return. Again, we keep maybe forgetting about it. There is a World Cup in November. So all these players who are looking for moves, a lot of them international players, are going to be looking to move to a club that can really guarantee their place on that plane. And I think if De Jong goes, he might do that. But the Antony deal, now that's been thrown into doubt. Ajax want 70 million for the forward, which I think is fair. I'm not saying he's worth that. The market probably dictates it, but you can't be pushed around. No. If you want to buy my player, you stump up the money.
That's it. And he's looks very, very exciting. Looks the kind of player that everyone just has a blast watching. He's one for the highlight reel for sure because of the some of his skill and
passes as well. From right to left.
Yeah, he's a fantastic young player. And it's a position United have to address. That sort of right side. You know, they've tried it with Rashford, they've tried Jesse Lingard, they've tried so many players over the years. Even Sancho, Amad Diallo, they spend a lot of money on. Does he look like? Yeah, Elanga, they've tried.
Who starts for United in midfield next season? If let's say they get De Jong, they've already sold Pogba. You still got Fred McTominay there.
Yeah.
Who starts? And then United fans, let us know who starts in midfield.
Well, I think De Jong would. I think Van der Beek would because
so he's going to come back and
I think so.
Give it another go, right?
And while I undoubtedly think Bruno Fernandes has some real quality, and I don't take away from his talent, there are things from a game management, ball retention perspective, his decision making that I have question marks over. And I think Ten Hag will want someone he can rely on a bit more in that central midfield position. So they either need to get another holding midfielder or a box-to-box if De Jong's going to sit deep because they're going to need some physical protection around him as well. I think whoever they sign, if they get De Jong, I think they need another central midfielder as well either way.
Interesting. A big summer of changes, ins and outs at Manchester
United.
United.
A lot to do for them. They need that right forward as well.
From top to bottom.
Yeah.
Can they get it right? Matty Renton, Newcastle fan, will be very happy. They've strengthened their defence again. Sven Botman, we've all heard of this guy from the last 2 or 3 seasons. Been linked with Liverpool. I'm pretty sure he's been linked with you guys in the past, but he's now signed. He is a Newcastle player. Medical successfully completed. 37 million fee paid over to Lille, which again hardly touches the sides for Newcastle. They won't even notice that coming out of the old Saudi bank account. But this is a good signing. And do you think he can, because if we look at their defence, the second half of the season, Newcastle were really good defensively. Yeah. It looks like him and Byrne might play at the back, do you reckon?
Yeah, I think he's a left-footed centre-back. So, will he start with Byrne? I made the point earlier in the show that with Ake and Laporte, I don't know if managers are always so comfortable going with two left-sided. I know people go, what's the difference? But I think when you're playing out the back, I think it does make a difference.
Naturally, your sides, you want them to be the strongest.
Yeah. And that is an area that, Eddie Howe, he likes his teams to be pressing sides who play good football and all those things. So I think Dan Burn might have been seen as can do a job for now, squad depth going forward, and Botman will be the main man, and probably alongside Fabian Schär, who I think is a good player.
And you've still got Lascelles there as well.
You've still got Lascelles, so they've got some good depth in that position. I think there were some question marks about his pace, but I might be wrong, and I'm not seeing enough on him to know. So we'll see. But I think, listen, you linked with all these clubs. Clearly a good player in that.
And do you know what I have to say on his behalf as well? He comes into Newcastle as a League 1 winner.
Yeah.
So that experience of being a champion, a league champion in the country that you just played at, that must count for something.
So
I don't actually know how many champion or league champions there are in this Newcastle squad.
So was he starting for Lille when they won it a year ago?
That's why he's getting linked with all these big clubs, because he had that great season.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that must count for something. Again, let us know in the comments if we're missing out any players that are at Newcastle right now who have been a league champion. There probably is.
I'm trying to have a think.
Can't really think right now though. Maybe Bruno Guimaraes. No, never a champion with Lyon. Again, there might not be, there might be. Matty Renton will know. Let us know, mate. Newcastle have as well. They're really kind of getting in amongst these big chats now with the big players because they can. They've got the money. Yeah. Raphinha, as we know, linked with Arsenal, Tottenham, Liverpool. Newcastle have thrown their hat in the ring for him as well. Do you think that could persuade him not to go to Arsenal or Barcelona if they've got the money?
Well, if they outbid Arsenal and all these other clubs, that's one thing. There might be a case of Leeds saying, listen, this is the deal that we've agreed for you. I think Raphinha will want in a World Cup year to show that he's playing European football and he's playing regularly. I think with Newcastle, they are going to win the Premier League in the next 10 years.
Sounds bad, doesn't it?
They are.
Sounds
and
bad.
they're going to be in the Champions League, and they're going to be a real force to be reckoned with. So I'm not taking anything from them. Where I've got real respect for them is they're building their way there. They're not just trying to pick, who are the players United don't want? Who are the players Arsenal don't want? Who are the players City don't want? I think their signings have been really smart, really shrewd bits of business. Raphinha, I think, would be a bit like Guimaraes, that slightly more marquee signing that was gettable. But I think with the other options on the table for Raphinha, I would be surprised if he goes there. But Newcastle fans will have a lot of fun laughing at me as an Arsenal fan if I'm wrong. And he picks Newcastle because he would start week in, week out for them. I think there will be knocking on the door of European football next season. And maybe he's willing to be patient. No, listen, I'll be playing week in, week out. So for the World Cup, that's enough. And they're going to get there. They are going to get there, Newcastle.
Whether we like it or not.
But I do think they're still just that 1 or 2 years away from actually really taking those players away from the traditional big six.
Sure.
Don't really like that term, but the traditional big six in a way that it's not just necessarily money related, but it's actually beating them on the project and the ambition and all those things. Maybe I'm being harsh, but yeah.
Well, let us know in the comments. Geordie fans, can you see Raphinha coming through the door? Which will be a new door because they're rebuilding, or they're working on the training ground.
I know I just mentioned the project. They're building a fantastic project, but I still think they might be a year or two away.
I agree. I do agree. AC Milan, again, they've just announced Divock Origi as their new striker, which really hurt, if I'm honest, to actually see. And again,
classic AC Milan signing.
It really is. Yeah. And listen, I hope he does all the best because of just what a legend he is. The legacy he's left on the city of Liverpool. He had a Divock Origi Foundation at Liverpool University where he paid for students to study. Love him. Great guy at AC Milan now. And he might be joined by Hakim Ziyech, 29-year-old winger, as we know, at Chelsea. Hasn't really clicked for him. I mean, it's no doubt that he's a great player. We've all seen it at Ajax in the Champions League. Yeah. A little bit lightweight, maybe?
I think also he came into a Chelsea side that Lampard, at that point, started his second season. It wasn't going so great. I don't think people really know whether he's a winger or like a wide playmaker or, I think he probably would benefit with Reece James getting forward down the right-hand side. He's had some good moments. He scored some big goals for them. A goal against Tottenham, I remember. I think a goal
away in the FA Cup.
FA Cup, yeah, in the FA Cup as well. So, there's a good player there, but it just hasn't clicked. I can't really explain why. They've also had a lot of options in those positions. Werner's played in those wider positions. Mason Mount, Christian Pulisic, Hudson-Odoi.
Again, a very AC Milan signing.
A very AC Milan signing. So none of that surprised me at all. And probably right for him that he kind of moves on. But I thought they were getting a real top player when they signed him. So a bit of a shame that we didn't quite see that Ziyech.
Right, let's go back to Barcelona. Ousmane Dembele, he has been at the centre of a tug of war, really, that he's not really even wanted to be in. As soon as he signed to Barcelona for 120 mil, I think it was, all eyes were on him. Again, moments of brilliance. He's had to deal with the furore that surrounds him at Barcelona, the ups and downs of the financial issues, the drama, really. Messi leaving. A lot has been said behind closed doors, which isn't really Barcelona's style. But maybe he stays. I mean, again, that transfer has a knock-on effect to maybe De Jong, a knock-on effect to anyone else that they're trying to bring in. But is this a rumor that, well, maybe not a rumor, but he's obviously going to make his decision soon. But is this a decision that is kind of taken away from him to make?
Well, I mean, the fact he's had a contract means he doesn't have to sign the new deal.
Yeah.
So he's probably got quite a bit of choice, but it's a shame for him. He's never been made to feel particularly wanted, apart from when they did sign him. We know that they want Raphinha, and it feels like they're tying him down because the Raphinha deal doesn't look doable.
Yeah.
But I think there's a real player in there. I really do. I think he's a wingers and wide forwards whose job is to get goals and assists and constantly be entertaining. There's a lot of pressure on that position. A lot of it is confidence based.
Yeah.
And if you make this guy feel loved, and you give him the foundations and maybe the right supply around him and a proper, gunman up front who he can, be linking up with, I think you'll find a different Dembele. But Xavi seems to have got a little bit something out of him. He's had some game time, and I think tying him down is the best thing for Barcelona. When they want Lewandowski, they want Bernardo Silva as well. They're not going to come cheap. So keep players like Dembele, who I think there's still a few levels for him to go. But people have watched him week in, week out, might have more to say about his kind of the nuances of his performance. Yeah, I feel sorry for him a bit
because he's not really. He's come into a team that was on the down when he joined. In my opinion, in hindsight, we can say that. But he came in the same summer as Coutinho, Griezmann. He's kind of the only one left really from that summer of 2018 or 19, I believe it was. Yeah. And he's never really had a fair shot. If you look back to the great Barcelona teams with the three up front, you look at David Villa, Messi, and Pedro in that great team. He's a very and you'd have to compare him to Pedro in that team because of the other players there. But he almost strikes me as you can see that he's got it.
Yeah.
With Pedro, I don't think we could. He was a workhorse. He was dependable. He went on to have an incredible career, by the way, Pedro. The amount of trophies that guy won in a range of different countries.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem to be that kind of player for me that you could whack in at left midfield or left wing forward and really rely on him to score you the goals, which again Pedro did at Barcelona.
Yeah.
So interesting to see.
Well,
where
also
that one
he was signed as Neymar's replacement.
Exactly. Yeah.
And Neymar played off the left, and Dembele predominantly played off the right. And you had Messi, and you had Suarez, I think, was still there. Yeah. So naturally, you thought, well, where's he going to play then? Probably on the left. So, it wasn't a perfect fit when they got him, and they spent a lot of money. And I think there's just been this always, I don't know. I feel for him. Like you said, I feel sorry for him. I think there's a good player in there.
Right, that rounds it up then. Transfer updates on DR Sports. Of course, as you know, we're here almost every day looking ahead to what promises to be an enthralling... Well, I mean, we're not even halfway through the transfer window. It's such a late start. It's so long to go.
Barely a third of the way through.
There's going to be so many changes. There's ins and outs all over the place, and we'll keep you right up to date with all of them. As I said, a lot of tennis content to come.
Yeah.
So make sure you watch that. If you're watching Wimbledon, why wouldn't you be? It's summertime in England. It's only right. And I'm looking forward to it. But as we've just mentioned, that is your transfer update. We'll see you next time. Take care.